Or squares 4 letters, 1 question. A is the ideal, the standard that exists whether or not anyone acknowledges it. B is the actual, where things really are, the honest condition beneath the performance. C is the correction, the movement from B back toward A. D is the consequence, where B leads without correction applied. This is the ABCD framework, a complete and minimal map of any condition relative to truth. It applies to relationships, health, work, faith, and any domain where there is a standard, a deviation, a correction, and a consequence for refusing it. The framework begins with one agreement: A is not B, the ideal is not the actual. That agreement is not a judgment. It is a foundation. Without it, comparison and avoidance fill the space where honesty should be. With it, the ground is level, the location is clear, and the conversation that matters can begin. Where are you standing, and why not now? The 4 squares tool shows you where you are standing, but location alone does not explain why you stay there. There are 5 states that keep people from moving toward correction. The first is willful rebellion, knowing what is right and choosing otherwise. The second is ignorance, not knowing you are misaligned because the standard has been forgot. The third is self-deception, acknowledging the standard in theory while convincing yourself the obligation has not yet been triggered. The fourth is procrastination, intending to move but not yet, assuming the vessel will not run dry. The fifth is partial yield, having chosen the correction but not yet fully surrendered to it, still growing into what that choice means. Each state has a different barrier, each barrier requires a different response. Conviction for the rebellious, awakening for the ignorant, confrontation for the self-deceived, urgency for the procrastinator, abiding for the one still learning to walk. The framework does not manipulate, it does not steer, it simply names what is true about where a person is standing and why, and leaves the next move to them. That is honest location, that is the tool, and it begins with one agreement. A is not B. The grid works because of its simplicity. When a person is asked to choose a single letter, there is nothing to overthink, no essay to write, no position to defend, just a letter, and in that unguarded moment the choice reveals something true, not the orientation they perform but the one they actually inhabit. The practitioner draws the square, labels the letters, establishes the agreement that A is not B, asks what subject, asks where to start, then follows, not leads. The entry point the person chooses is not random, it is the place they feel most located, most urgent, or most honest about. All 3 are valid starting places. What the choice reveals is diagnostic. The person who picks A is reaching toward the ideal. The person who picks B wants to understand the trajectory. The person who picks C is discerning whether the person across from them actually lives inside what they're presenting. The person who picks D is a realist who has located themselves honestly and is one genuine conversation away from understanding what correction looks like. A practitioner does not steer, does not modify, does not engineer an outcome. The moment technique enters with an agenda, the tool stops being a covenant and becomes manipulation, which by definition is using trickery to affect an outcome. That is precisely what this tool was designed not to be. The framework holds, the subject changes, the person changes, the 4 positions do not. Draw the square, ask the question, hold the truth, leave the rest to the person and to God. The framework applies to any domain: health, finance, parenting, business, education, addiction, leadership. The 4 positions do not change, only the subject placed inside them does. In every domain, an ideal exists whether or not it is acknowledged. Deviation from it produces predictable consequences. A correction is always available, and the refusal of correction always leads toward the same destination regardless of how comfortable that refusal has been made to feel. What makes the tool trustworthy is its structure. It does not shame anyone for being in B, it does not pretend A is where everyone is, it maps reality honestly and points toward what is available without coercion and without agenda. The practitioner does not bend the framework to accommodate resistance. The framework is offered as it is. What the person does with it is between them and the truth. That integrity is what keeps the tool clean and repeatable across any subject and any conversation. It is a covenant of honesty, a shared agreement to call things what they are, not to wound, not to compare, but to locate, because you cannot move from where you are if you will not first name where you are standing. That is where every meaningful journey begins, not with a solution, with an honest location. A is not B, that is the agreement, everything else follows from it.